Sheldon started ATB's financial services and went from $250,000 to $12 billion over 10 years. His big thing is helping people create a culture of mastery. But I have to tell you the real story of Sheldon. I met Sheldon at a stag, and Sheldon was the most interested, open, smart guy that I'd met in a long time. And I remember thinking someday I want to hear him get up in front of people and really tell the story. And I'd never gotten that opportunity until right now. So, in search of mastery, would you please welcome Sheldon Dyck? Come on up here, Sheldon.
I'll share one story with you. One of our advisors, his name was Jeff. He was right in the middle, but he had conviction that he wanted to be a master, which was the price of admission to stay as part of our team at this point in our journey. And we'd been working with Jeff on a core concept that money and benchmark returns and all of this crap that investment people talk about is pretty meaningless to clients. What they care about is, can you provide the fuel for me to live the life I want and to leave a legacy and to have an impact on the world? And people get into the investment business and become advisors because they like math and they like science and they hate feelings. And they don't like talking about things like dreams. And we're teaching Jeff and showing him examples of people saying, you know, how can we make your dreams come true? What things do you want to accomplish? What do you want your purpose and mission to be like? You can see him, you know, uneasy in his skin just with this conversation. But in one of the videos, there was an example of an advisor who had found his own way to talk about it, which is part of the key principles of mastery, is he used the bucket list conversation, right? This was okay. This was two masculine guys like Jack Nicholson. This can't be bad if I talk about the bucket list thing. And Jeff connected with this. And so his next meeting, he's going out to meet Stan, a client who's been his client for a number of years, had an advisor for 2 decades of his life. And he gets prepared and Stan comes in and he says, you know, Stan, I'd like to start with a little bit of a different tack this morning. I want to talk to you about what's on your bucket list. What do you want to accomplish before this journey is over and your time is done? You can see on the video of Stan's eyes lighting up. And he leans forward in his chair and he says, you know what? I read a bunch of novels when I was a boy about traveling in the South Pacific. And I've always wanted to go to the South Pacific, to go to Tahiti, and I've never been able to go. And Jeff has this stack of, you know, things he's going to present about investment stuff, and he slides it off of the desk. And he says, Stan, you're 73 years old. You're worth millions of dollars. Like, we got to get you there now. And they sell stuff out of Stan's portfolio, a tiny little amount. They call a travel agent while they're on video and start arranging this trip to the South Pacific. And Jeff came into our board meeting when our results were awful, and he told this story to the board, and he said to our board, one of the most powerful moments of my career. He said, I've been an advisor for 10 years, but today was the first time that I really understood what advising somebody meant. That's when I knew that we were on the right track and we had to keep going.
You've done Bloomberg and HuffPo and BNN lately. You're ready for the bright lights of ATB Black and White. Welcome.
Thank you, Glenn. There's no one I would rather talk to than you.
Last weekend, Sheldon and I was at a talk given by the director, Oliver Stone. He was asked about the movie Wall Street and why he made it. He said that in the 80s, deregulation was changing Wall Street for bad, for good, but forever. He said the idea of honor and the idea of serving your client for your client's good was fading as the Gordon Geckos of the world took over the banks, became the banks essentially. When I heard Stone say that, I recalled the message that you've been on lately. You told Reuters too many investment firms are in it for themselves. I quote, you're doing it because it will sell and you're filling a market niche, but are you actually doing the right thing for people who are counting on you to give them advice and steward their money properly? Sheldon, why the rant these days? Where's it coming from? And are your fellow Lipper Award winners in your crosshairs?
Yeah, first of all, love the movie, and anytime you can start with a Bud Fox reference is good with me, Glenn. You know, I don't think the industry is in as bad a position as when Bud Fox was shorting Blue Star Airlines for hundreds of millions of dollars, but I think we still have a long way to go of truly being focused on what clients need and being, you know, driven by the sole purpose of helping them achieve their goals. And yes, there are some of the other mutual fund companies, I think, that are at the center of the controversy.
How do you make sure that those who report to you and who fly the IS flag don't fall into the same trap?
The most important thing in any firm in controlling how people behave is hiring people that are driven by a sense of purpose and wanting to achieve the same things that we are. You need rules and regulations, but that can only go so far. You look at firms that have, committed heinous acts, the Enrons and WorldComs. They had, very elaborate code of conduct and ethics policies. It's culture that wins.
On the farm, you learn one very simple concept very quickly, that you can't consume everything you produce in 1 year. That you've got to save some of these seeds to plant to have a crop for next year, or you're not going to have food for the following year. And it turns out that as human beings, that's one of the hardest things that we have to do, is delay instant gratification for future gratification, even if it's way, way greater. So basically, we're dumber than squirrels.